The little secretary was crying and threatening to jump off the roof again, all because I spent $15 on groceries without asking for her approval first. She claimed I didn't respect her position. That very night, she handed in her resignation. To comfort her, my husband didn't hesitate to throw me out of the house. He handed me a divorce agreement demanding I leave with absolutely nothing. Don't worry, Hazel, it's just a temporary divorce. You've worked so hard for this family all these years, and you even gave me a son. Once Chloe calms down, we'll get remarried. I looked at him calmly. Are you sure this is already the 10th time you've divorced me? Our 7-year-old son Leo rushed over and began kicking and punching me. You old witch. What are you throwing a tantrum for now? You made a mistake. You deserve to be punished. Just as they wished, I signed the divorce papers. Once again that night, Chloe posted on her Snapchat, glad someone finally knows her place and knows who the real boss of this house is. I guess I'll reward them with a family photo shoot session. My husband let out a sigh of relief. He immediately and excitedly dialed my number. Babe, Chloe forgave you. We can get remarried now. But the voice that answered him was a deep, magnetic male voice. Sorry, mate, your wife is in my bed, and she's a bit exhausted. The moment Marcus heard the unfamiliar male voice, his breath hitched. Who is this? What did you do to my wife? His voice was thick with suppressed rage, like a wild beast ready to pounce. There was no reply, just a low chuckle before the call was cut off. Marcus went completely insane. He mobilized every single resource he had. In just 15 minutes, he appeared right in front of me. I'm so sorry, Hazel. It was my fault. He hugged me tightly as if trying to merge me into his own body. I know you were jealous. You hired someone to put on a show and scare me, right? I promise you, I really know I was wrong this time. Don't ever scare me like that again, okay? I wasn't trying to scare you. I pushed him away, looking into his eyes with absolute calmness. We are already divorced. Marcus froze for a second, then forced a dodging smile. All right, I know what you want, a proper apology, right? I'm already prepared with that. He pulled a ring box from his pocket and dropped to one knee. I really know I messed up. You've forgiven me 9 times before, but I kept taking you for granted. I was an absolute jerk. I promise you this is the last time. For the sake of our son, can you give me one more chance? Our son Leo walked over holding a bouquet of my favorite red roses. Mommy, don't go. Don't leave me. I know I was bad. I shouldn't have yelled at you. Daddy already scolded me. Please give Daddy and me one more chance. My usually rebellious son looked so pitiful right now. For a moment, my heart softened. To make things more overwhelming, our friends and family suddenly poured into the room. Each of them was holding a luxury gift box. I lined them up in front of me. Inside were the designer bags and jewelry I used to dream of. Say yes, we marry him. Marcus really treats Hazel like a princess. They say these 10 gift boxes are incredibly valuable. The cheapest one is worth at least $1 million. Marcus hadn't forgotten the promises he made to me when we were young. At this moment, he was fulfilling them one by one. Seeing my hesitation, Marcus grew anxious. Hazel, I know you've always wanted a grand wedding in Provence. I've already booked the flights. Just nod your head, and we can leave right now. Mommy, please hurry up and say yes to Daddy. Both of them looked at me with the same puppy dog eyes. Just as I was about to speak, a sharp, whiny female voice came from the doorway. Marcus, you are so cruel. How could you spend so much money without telling me? I've never received so many gifts from you. How could you just buy all of this for her? I knew you were lying when you said I could manage the household finances. I'm never speaking to you again. Hearing this, Marcus instantly panicked. I spotted Chloe in the crowd, let go of my hand without a second thought, and ran after her. Chloe, don't be mad. Let me explain. Suddenly, someone called out to him. Are you still proposing or what? Marcus replied crossly, propose? Can't you see what's more important right now? Without giving me a single glance, he walked away. The crowd slowly packed up the luxury boxes, looking at me with mocking smiles. Well, it looks like Chloe is still his #1 priority. With the way Marcus was acting just now, I almost thought he was serious this time. Leo also dropped his sweet act instantly. He looked at me with a smug grin. I only did that because Daddy promised to buy me a new gaming console. I thought we'd have to play nice for a few days. But in the end, Auntie Chloe is still the important one. You lost again, you old witch. It's all your fault that Auntie Chloe is always angry. You should give all these gifts to her as an apology. Within 2 hours, a wealthy influencer's vlog went viral on TikTok and Instagram. In the video, the luxury gift boxes took up half of the living room. Marcus, who usually only appeared on serious business channels with a cold face, was holding flowers and smiling apologetically behind Chloe. As for Chloe, she just gave a haughty glance. Finally, under Leo's sweet coaxing of calling her mommy, she flashed a beautiful smile. The comment section was flooded. Oh my god, there are 101 gifts in total. Does that mean she's his 1 in a million? I'm crying. This is so sweet. Can you believe those jewelry boxes thrown carelessly on the floor are worth millions? Heavens, I don't even throw my tissues around like that. If this were the past, I would have fallen into a deep, endless spiral of panic. Does Marcus still love me? Has my son been completely brainwashed by someone else? In the end, it would only lead to endless arguments and self-doubt. But looking at this now, my heart was surprisingly peaceful. I gave Chloe's post a thumbs up on Snapchat, and then I deleted everyone's contact information. From this moment on, I wanted nothing to do with them. Just then, Ethan, who had gone out to buy some things for me, finally returned. What happened? Did your blood sugar drop again? Seeing me shake my head, he let out a sigh of relief. He handed me the takeout from a fancy French bistro and casually mentioned, by the way, while you were asleep, someone called you. He sounded pretty aggressive, so I just hung up. I hope it didn't mess up anything for you. I knew exactly who he was talking about. Just a spam caller. I've already blocked him. I didn't notice the slight curl of Ethan's lips after eating. I started packing after being kicked out of the house. I didn't bring much with me. 10 years of marriage, and all that was left fit into a few bags of clothes and personal items. I calmly booked a one-way ticket out of the country for 3 days later. Once I left, I probably would never come back. But before I left, I had one last thing to settle. The next day, I went directly to a high-end auction house. Years ago, I helped Marcus build his empire from scratch. When we were desperate for cash, I had to pawn the necklace my late mother left me. The time we had the money to buy it back, the pawn shop had gone out of business, and the necklace was lost. Only recently did I find out it was being auctioned off. As soon as I walked into the venue, someone called my name. Hazel, what are you doing here? It was Chloe. Standing behind her were several of my former friends. Do you even need to ask? She must have stalked Marcus's schedule. Look at her. She just can't let go. Yesterday, she was acting so high and mighty, refusing to remarry him. Quite an actress, huh? Come on, Hazel. Just go over and apologize to Chloe, and we can put this whole thing behind us. Someone reached out to grab my hand, but I slapped it away. Apologize to a homewrecker, I sneered. I spent $15 of my own money on groceries. What exactly did I do wrong? Back then, I gave up my successful acting career to become a full-time housewife for Marcus. I thought I would finally enjoy life once his business succeeded. But instead, I lived a life worse than Chloe's dog. Not only was my spending strictly limited, but I also had to report every single purchase to a secretary. I used to endure all of this for the sake of my child, but now since my son doesn't even recognize me as his mother, I don't want either of them anymore. I ignored them and walked toward the seating area. The auction was about to begin. I quickly found my seat, but Chloe's eyes turned red. She looked pitifully at Marcus, who had just finished socializing and walked over. Marcus, why are you just getting here? You promised you would protect me. Why do you keep letting this woman bully me? We looked incredibly aggrieved, and Marcus's heart melted with pity. I don't care. I want that emerald necklace. If you don't buy it for me, I'll never speak to you again. I looked up at the stage. The item up for bid was indeed the necklace my mother left me. I immediately raised my paddle. $1 million. This was already $200,000 higher than the previous bid. No one would want to pay that much for an outdated necklace. Seeing Marcus raise his paddle, without hesitation, I turned around and spoke directly to him. Marcus, even a gentle soul has its limits. I already left with nothing. How much further do you want to push me? You promised me and my mother you would buy this necklace back. Look closely at it. This is not some cheap toy to please your mistress. Marcus froze. A look of shock flashed through his eyes. He wasn't used to me speaking to him in such a cold, detached tone. Slowly, he lowered his hand. The auctioneer on stage called out, going once at $1 million, going twice at $1 million. But Chloe panicked. Marcus, you promised me. Who are you choosing, her or me? Tears welled up in Chloe's eyes. It looked as if she would burst into tears if Marcus dared to say no. Marcus looked at me, then at Chloe. His gaze turned firm. I smiled bitterly to myself. How could an ex-wife like me ever compete with his precious mistress? Marcus looked at Chloe for several seconds. Then he raised his paddle. $2 million. The entire room erupted in whispers. Chloe immediately smiled. I didn't. I simply raised my paddle again. $3 million. Marcus's expression changed. Hazel. I didn't even look at him. $4 million. Marcus clenched his jaw. 5. The auctioneer nearly stumbled over his words. $5 million. Chloe's smile disappeared. Marcus, that's enough. He ignored her. $6 million. I raised mine. 7. Marcus stared at me. Are you seriously going to waste $7 million on that necklace? I smiled. No. I'm spending $7 million to take back the last thing my mother ever left me. His face went pale. For 10 years, Marcus had watched me sell everything I loved to help him build his empire. My career, my apartment, my jewelry, my mother's necklace, even my dignity. And somehow, he'd convinced himself I'd always come crawling back. He was wrong. The auctioneer lifted his hammer. $7 million going once. Marcus looked at Chloe. She was crying now. Marcus, if you buy that necklace, I'll leave. He froze. I almost laughed. There it was. The real reason behind everything. Marcus didn't love Chloe. He was addicted to being needed by her. And Chloe knew exactly how to control him. She wiped her tears. You promised I'd always come first. Marcus slowly lowered his paddle. $8 million. I raised mine. 9. The room went dead quiet. Marcus stared at me like I'd lost my mind. Hazel, stop. I finally turned toward him. Why? His lips parted. You can't afford this. I smiled. Who told you I'm paying? His expression changed. I turned toward the auctioneer. $10 million. The hammer slammed down. Sold. Everyone gasped. Marcus stood completely frozen. Then the auctioneer announced the buyer's name. Congratulations, Ms. Hazel Vale. Marcus's face drained of color. Vale. The surname I'd stopped using after marrying him, because I had foolishly believed becoming Mrs. Sterling meant we were building one family. I picked up the necklace when it was brought to me. My fingers trembled slightly as I touched the emerald. For years, I'd imagined this moment. I thought I'd cry. Instead, I felt strangely light. I turned around and walked straight past Marcus. He grabbed my wrist. Where did you get $10 million? I looked at his hand. Let go. Hazel, answer me. I pulled free. You should be asking yourself why your ex-wife suddenly has $10 million. His face tightened. Then his phone rang. He glanced at the screen. His expression changed instantly. Mr. Sterling, the board just called an emergency meeting. Marcus frowned. What happened? The board discovered several unauthorized transfers from the company account. His eyes narrowed. How much? There was a pause. $38 million. Chloe's face went white. Marcus slowly turned toward her. She immediately shook her head. Don't look at me. Another message appeared on his phone. Then another. His company stock had started dropping. Investors were withdrawing. Banks were freezing several accounts. Marcus looked at me. For the first time, there was genuine fear in his eyes. Hazel. I smiled faintly. Good luck. He grabbed my arm again. Did you do this? I leaned closer. You divorced me 10 times. I gently removed his fingers. You never once checked who was actually keeping your empire alive. His face went blank. Then I walked away. Behind me, Chloe screamed. Marcus. He turned toward her. What did you do? She froze. I didn't. 38 million doesn't disappear by itself. People started backing away from them. The same friends who had mocked me minutes earlier were suddenly pretending they didn't know either of them. I stepped outside. Ethan was waiting beside the car. He opened the door for me. How did it go? I held up the necklace. I got it. He smiled. Then we're done here. I climbed into the car. But before Ethan could close the door, my phone buzzed. One message. From an unknown number. You really thought Marcus was the only person who remembered your marriage? I stared at the screen. Another message appeared. He isn't the only one who knows what happened 10 years ago. My smile disappeared. Ethan noticed. What is it? I handed him the phone. He read the messages. His expression became unusually serious. Then he looked at me. Hazel. What? He hesitated. There is something I should have told you. My stomach tightened. What? Ethan looked toward the rearview mirror. A black car had been following us since we left the auction house. And inside it, someone was watching me. Someone I thought had been dead for 7 years. Ethan stepped on the gas. Who is following us? I stared at the black car. I don't know. Ethan's jaw tightened. That's a lie. I looked at him. He sighed. The person who sent you those messages contacted me 3 months ago. My heart stopped. Who? Before he could answer, the black car suddenly accelerated. Ethan swerved through traffic, losing them at the next intersection. Then he handed me his phone. There was a photo on the screen. A man standing beside Marcus. I recognized him immediately. That's impossible. Ethan nodded. That's what I thought too. The man in the picture was my father. The man Marcus had told me died before our wedding. My hands began shaking. He's alive. Very much alive. My entire marriage suddenly looked different. The missing money. The strange messages. Marcus's obsession with controlling every dollar I spent. And the necklace. My father had disappeared after my mother's death. Marcus had always claimed he ran away because he couldn't handle losing her. But now I remembered something. The night before my wedding, my father had called me. He told me one thing. Don't marry Marcus. I had ignored him. Ethan pulled over. He wants to meet you tonight. I stared at him. Why? Because Marcus isn't the person who betrayed you. My blood ran cold. Then who is? Ethan looked me directly in the eyes. Your husband wasn't the one controlling the money. I felt my stomach drop. Chloe was. I laughed bitterly. That makes no sense. She wasn't a secretary when she first entered the company. Ethan opened another file. She was Marcus's financial auditor. I stared at the documents. Chloe had been quietly moving company money for years. Every time she threatened to quit, Marcus gave her more authority. Every time she cried, he gave her another account. And every time I complained, he blamed me for being jealous. But there was one problem. The money Chloe stole had never gone into her personal account. It had gone somewhere else. A company registered overseas. Owned by my father. I looked at Ethan. Why would my father steal from Marcus? He didn't. Ethan pointed to the documents. Marcus and your father were partners. My breathing stopped. They built the company together. Everything I believed for 10 years shattered. Marcus hadn't built his empire from nothing. He'd used my family. And I'd been the perfect sacrifice. Then my phone rang. Marcus. I answered. His voice was frantic. Hazel, please come back. No. You don't understand. Chloe stole everything. I know. Silence. Then he whispered. Who told you? I smiled. My father. Marcus stopped breathing. I heard something crash on his end. Then he said the words that made everything clear. Hazel, your father was never supposed to survive. My blood ran cold. Before I could respond, the call ended. Ethan looked at me. I slowly lowered the phone. Take me to my father. Ethan nodded. But before we could leave, another message arrived. Don't trust Ethan either. I looked at him. He looked at me. For the first time, neither of us spoke. Then Ethan smiled faintly. Looks like someone really doesn't want you knowing the truth. I gripped my mother's necklace. Then let's make them panic. We drove into the night. And for the first time since my divorce, I wasn't running away. I was going hunting. We drove for nearly an hour before Ethan pulled into an abandoned vineyard outside the city. I stared at him. This is where we're meeting my father? No. He turned off the engine. This is where your father wants us to meet. I reached for the door. Ethan grabbed my wrist. Hazel, if you walk in there, everything changes. I pulled my hand back. Good. We entered the old estate. A man stepped out of the darkness. Older. Thinner. But unmistakably my father. I stopped breathing. Dad. He looked at me with tears in his eyes. Hazel. I slapped him. He didn't defend himself. You were alive. I know. You let me believe you were dead for 7 years. I was trying to keep you alive. I laughed bitterly. By letting me marry the man who tried to kill you? His expression collapsed. I didn't know Marcus would turn against us. He handed me a folder. Inside were contracts, bank records, and photographs. Marcus had been stealing from my family's company before we even married. When my father discovered it, Marcus threatened him. Then came the car accident. My father survived. My mother didn't. I stared at the final document. It contained one signature. Marcus Sterling. The authorization for the accident compensation. My fingers went numb. He killed Mom? My father shook his head. Marcus didn't personally cause the crash. He pointed to another name. Chloe did. I looked up. What? She tampered with the car. Everything suddenly made sense. The secretary. The crying. The fake innocence. The constant threats. Chloe hadn't appeared in Marcus's life by accident. She had been planted there years ago. And she had one goal. Destroy my family. My phone suddenly rang. Marcus again. I answered. Hazel, please listen. Did Chloe kill my mother? He went silent. That was enough. I hung up. My father looked at me. There's one more thing. He opened another file. Leo isn't Marcus's biological son. My entire body went still. What? My father pushed the DNA report toward me. The results were undeniable. Leo's father was Ethan. I slowly turned toward him. Ethan's face had gone completely pale. Hazel. I stepped backward. You knew. He didn't answer. I slapped him across the face. You knew my entire marriage was a lie. Ethan closed his eyes. I found out 6 months ago. Why didn't you tell me? Because Marcus would have killed you. I laughed. Everyone keeps saying they're protecting me. Then I looked at the DNA report again. 7 years ago, Ethan and I had been secretly dating. Before Marcus proposed. Before I chose Marcus. Before everything went wrong. And suddenly, a memory returned. That night. The night I thought I had cheated on Marcus. The night Ethan had told me he loved me. The night Marcus somehow found out. I stared at Ethan. You knew Leo was yours before he was born. He nodded. I did. My father's expression darkened. And Marcus knew too. My stomach dropped. That's why he never let me leave. Ethan nodded. He didn't want you. He looked at me. He wanted your inheritance. My phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't Marcus. It was Chloe. A video appeared. Leo was sitting beside her. She smiled at the camera. Hazel, you wanted the truth? She lifted a small envelope. Then come home. My heart tightened. Because your son has something to tell you. The video ended. Ethan immediately grabbed his keys. I stopped him. No. He looked at me. We're not going there blindly. I picked up my mother's necklace. We're going there prepared. Then I smiled. For once, let them be the ones who are afraid. We returned to Marcus's mansion that night. The front door was wide open. Inside, Chloe sat on the sofa with Leo beside her. Marcus stood behind them. He looked exhausted. Hazel, please. We can explain everything. I ignored him. I looked at Leo. Come here. Leo hesitated. Chloe immediately pulled him closer. Don't go near her. I smiled. Still pretending to be his mother? Chloe's face changed. Marcus stepped forward. Hazel, enough. I threw the DNA report onto the table. Then explain this. Marcus picked it up. His hands began shaking. Leo looked confused. What is that? I looked at him. Your real father is Ethan. Leo's face went blank. Marcus suddenly snapped. That's impossible. Ethan stepped into the room. Marcus lunged at him. Security rushed forward and restrained him. Chloe screamed. You can't take Leo from me. I turned toward her. I'm not taking him. I picked up my phone. Because he's not yours either. The room went silent. I pressed play. The video showed Chloe meeting a private investigator 7 years ago. She was holding a newborn baby. The investigator asked, Are you sure Marcus won't notice? Chloe laughed. He's too obsessed with Hazel to notice anything. My hands tightened. Chloe had switched the babies. Leo wasn't even Marcus's biological child. And Ethan wasn't Leo's biological father either. The DNA report had been forged. The real report was hidden beneath the necklace's original appraisal papers. I looked at Ethan. He nodded. Leo's biological father is actually Chloe's former boyfriend. Chloe collapsed onto the sofa. Marcus stared at her in disbelief. You used me? She started crying. You were useful. That sentence destroyed him more than anything else could have. Police entered the mansion. Chloe was arrested for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. Marcus wasn't arrested. He simply stood there watching everything he'd built collapse. Then his lawyer handed him one final document. My divorce settlement. The one he'd forced me to sign. Except there was a problem. I had secretly amended it before signing. Marcus owed me half of every asset acquired during our marriage. And because investigators had proven he'd hidden company assets from me, I was entitled to even more. Marcus looked at me. You planned all of this? I smiled. No. I held up my mother's necklace. I simply stopped cleaning up your messes. He looked devastated. Hazel, I still love you. I laughed. You loved having someone who would tolerate you. I walked toward the door. He followed. Then what am I supposed to do? I looked back. Whatever you want. Then I left. 3 months later, Marcus's empire was gone. Chloe was sentenced for her crimes. Leo was placed with a proper guardian while the courts sorted out his parentage. And I moved overseas with my father. As for Ethan, he showed up at my new apartment one rainy evening. He held a small box. I know I don't deserve another chance. I opened the door wider. Then don't ask for one. He smiled. What should I do? I took the box from him. Start over. He nodded. For once, nobody was forcing me to stay. Nobody was threatening to leave. Nobody was making me compete for someone's attention. I looked down at my mother's necklace. I had spent 10 years believing losing my marriage meant losing my life. I was wrong. My marriage wasn't my life. It was the thing that had been keeping me from living it.